Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. Time for a look of what's new around Maple Grove and a look back at the most recent council meetings. Stay with us. The Maple Grove City Report starts right now. And thanks again for joining us for the Maple Grove City Report. Joining me is Al Madsen, City Administrator. Welcome, Al.
Thank you, Dave.
We've got a lot to talk about today. We'll take a look back at that council meeting, which was about a half hour long. We've got some items first here of what's happening around town, and then as Al gets ready for retirement, we'll talk a little bit in the end of the program about some of those early days or middle days of his time in the city. But let's start with what's new around town. What are we seeing in Maple Grove these days?
Well, the parents and the kids and the grandkids will be thrilled because we're going to be opening up the playground at Central Park on October 21st. And so it's a very, very nice playground. And so we expect that to be heavily used. And then probably around mid-November, maybe around November 10th, something like that, we'll be opening up the ice trail that goes around that section in the Central Park. And so it's, doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees out, there'll still be a refrigerator system and people can still ice skate around there. And so the playground is going to be very nice. And I know that'll be very, very popular with the kids.
And my guess is the ice is going to be very popular as well. So
yes.
Is this something that people register for, sign up a time, rent skates there? Tell us a little bit more of the logistics of how that works, of what you know of it so far.
Well, if they want to rent skates, they can.
Okay.
We have a facility there that they could certainly rent skates, bring their own skates, don't necessarily have to sign up. They can just come to the clubhouse or whatever we want to call it.
Right.
The building there, and just get their skates on and get out onto the trail.
Away you go.
Yeah, and if there's lessons, then obviously they'd have to sign up for skating lessons. But otherwise, no, it's going to be wide open.
And is there a cost to it, or is it free? Come out
and
use it
skate.
As you may. Very
come out
good.
And skate, and
okay.
the same with the playground. Come out and play in the playground.
Wonderful.
So, yeah. Just a few other things. The dome is going to be going up. We're gonna
it's
start,
that time again.
Yeah, it is, right. We're going to start putting the dome up October 19th, and it takes a while for the dome to get inflated, and it's a fascinating process. If anybody has not seen it, I suggest they watch it because it is a fascinating process. And then we hope that on November 1st is when the dome will officially be open for the season. So that's a place where people can also go and walk if they want to. They could walk at the community center. They could certainly go out to the dome, walk in the dome. I think we keep it about 50 degrees, something like that in there. And when it's 20 below outside, 50 degrees is pretty doggone nice. So
we'll take that. And this is a nice cooperative, as I understand it, again, between the city, the school district as well. So
yes.
There's lots of teams that end up renting time there.
Yes.
Is that how that works? So from
Absolutely.
a cost standpoint, it really makes sense.
It does. It truly does. And it's a good, I think, good example of agreement, as you mentioned, between the school district, various athletic associations, and the city. I think it's a prime example of a great joint powers agreement.
So get out and enjoy that once it gets a little bit colder.
Silver Creek on Main, which is a senior development at the corner of Weaver Lake and Main Street, opened and is a wonderful facility. Just has so many amenities on the inside. All of the independent units are already leased out. Almost all of the assisted care are leased out, and a good portion of the memory care are leased out. And so they're ahead of schedule. Their leasing efforts are, I think, probably beyond their wildest dreams. And in talking to the developer Saturday at the open house and the ribbon cutting, they are already working on plans for phase 2. They had not anticipated starting phase 2 until probably maybe 2017, 2018, but they have 45 people also on a waiting list for the independent units. And so they're already working on plans, and I would not be surprised if they come in to start the process in 2016. The second phase was to be 195 units also.
Right.
They're probably going to trim it back a little bit because they're finding the demand for two-bedroom units is very great.
Okay.
So they're probably going to do more two-bedroom units. But it's a fabulous development there. It just has a nice presence there, and the inside is great a number of amenities. It's very, very nice.
So they have land just to the east, it would be,
Yes.
of their building, which
Yes.
would be the spot for the second phase. And
Right.
also, as I recall, there are some parts of that facility that are open to the public as well, as far as amenities. Seniors looking for another option for recreation
Oh, yes.
can go there.
They have a wonderful fitness area. And I think it's $50 a month. You do not have to be a resident in
Okay.
Silver Creek on Main, but I think it's $50 a month. You can sign up, and then you can use their fitness center, and that includes the pool. They have a very, very nice pool. The hydro pool, which is quite a unique thing. It's a pool and it has a platform, and if you happen to be in a wheelchair, you can roll your wheelchair onto the platform, and then it lowers to whatever level the therapist wants to set it at.
Sure.
And then the water starts, I think it's about 8.5 miles an hour, and then the jets kick in. And so that's something that also the tenants in the facility are able to use. Now, the general public, if they want to use and sign up for the fitness center at $50 a month, they can use a pool, but the hydro pool is not available.
Okay.
That's strictly for the residents.
Okay,
So,
and I'm sure you can go to their website and find out all that
Oh, yes.
information about amenities they have. And
Yes.
I'm sure if you wanted to take a tour of the facility, take a look at it, they would be happy to help you out with
absolutely.
that.
It's very, very nice. So we're very happy with that. The Hindu temple is on October 10th, is having a 10-year anniversary. It's 10 years ago.
Wow,
It's
hard to believe.
I know it is. It's 10 years ago when vandals broke in there and smashed a bunch of the icons and variety of damage. And so they're having a 10-year anniversary, and they're also going to be like a ribbon cutting of a new area that they're going to be opening, which will be an area for relaxation and thinking and things like that. And so they're going to have from 10 until 11:30 on Saturday, October 10th,
Okay.
will be their ceremony for that. And the icons, they were all smashed. They're buried out there, and according to the Hindu way of things, they have to be buried in a certain way. They could not be discarded. They had to be buried. But
Okay.
the area that they're going to be opening and a ribbon cutting for the new area will be just, I think, one of wonderful area to go out for meditation, relaxation, and it'll be open to the public.
Right.
So it'll be
Okay.
very, very nice. Farmers Market. There are 3 markets left in October, and then next month, November, we move inside.
Right.
There are 25 vendors that will be inside. We had, according to Carol, we had a ton of folks that wanted to be inside, but were limited to the space.
Sure.
And so it's tough when you got to kind of pick and choose, but we had no choice. So they'll have 25 vendors on the inside. So the market just continues to go very, very well. So.
And all that information about the market on the city's website, so you can find out things there. And when it does move inside, that's on the upper level of the community center,
Right.
so around the maze.
That's right.
Outside of the maze, the senior room in that area.
Yep, it sure is, yep. Saturday, Sunday, October 11, Historical Society will be having an open house at the museum.
Very nice.
And they have that once a month, and this will be from 1 until 4 p.m. Great opportunity for people just to come to the museum, see all the various artifacts that have been accumulated. The Maple Grove Historical Preservation Society is in, I guess it's a unique situation, but it's a demanding one because there are more and more people that are now becoming aware of it and want to donate.
Sure.
I've got an item here that's 100 years old or whatever the case. And so the inventory is building up.
Right. You hate to lose that opportunity to
Right.
get something like that.
Right, absolutely. And so the inventory is building up. And so it's one of those, see, it's nice to be inundated with stuff, but then the flip side is the stuff has to be inventoried so precisely, and that's set out by the State Historical Society. And so used to think that, well, if you get a plate and 4 cups, you could just do one thing. No, you got to inventory the plate.
Okay.
You got to inventory each of the 4 cups. So it's a very painstaking process. But you know, the history members are just fantastic. They just do a marvelous job. So.
And are you saying you're ready for some more volunteers if people are
Oh,
interested?
absolutely, yes. If anybody that would be interested in joining, we'd love to have them. So we meet once a month, and it's just a great group of people. So.
Any highlighted displays at this point? I know in the past there have been some special things related to the fire department or other maybe periods of time. Anything highlighted at this point, or just
This
walk
pretty much
in
general.
and absorb Maple Grove?
This will be pretty much general.
Okay.
We did have a wonderful display of old wedding gowns. We still have toys there, old toys there.
Sure.
A variety of other things, but I think Sunday they'll just see a wide range of variety of items.
Neat opportunity.
Yes, it's just a great organization. Just a couple other things. Opus is proposing 2 multi-tenant office showroom buildings along Zachary, across from the school district service center, their warehouse area there. And so that's moving through the process. And so I don't know if that will start yet in 2015. My sense is that they may, you know, do some, you know, groundwork and maybe do some up to grade work. But you know, wintertime construction is tough because it adds such a huge cost to a project. So they may get to a certain point and then, you know, hold off until spring. But that'll be nice. It's 2 very nice industrial buildings.
Is this on open land? I know there's some open land there, but there's also some existing businesses. Is it a combination of the 2 that they will be using?
It's on open land.
Open land.
Yes.
Okay.
It's land that's owned by a Mir company, and so this is open land.
Okay.
So it'd be nice to see that that area get developed because that land has been vacant for a long time, and so it'd be good to have 2 very attractive multi-tenant industrial buildings. So we're looking forward to that. A couple other things. The truth in taxation notices will be coming out November 12th, so everybody can, you know.
Celebration time.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yay.
you got that. Yeah, for sure. A few other things is that the meet and greet for the city administrator position was held this past Monday. And then also this past Monday, the 3 candidates for the administrator position met with all the directors and key staff on a rotating basis. And then comment cards were written up about, you know, how each person came across. And so October 12th is when the city council will meet in a special meeting beginning at 6 o'clock to interview the 3 candidates once again. My assumption is that they will settle on one person on the 12th, and then an employment contract has to be worked out. And so I cannot imagine the new person beginning until probably the 3rd week in November.
Okay.
And speaking of that,
Yes. What does that mean for you, Al?
the mayor and council has asked if I would stay through November. So that, you know, when the new person comes on, there can be a transition period. And my wife and I didn't have any plans, and so we agreed that, you know, stay through November. I want to make sure that there's a nice, smooth transition. Sure. One of the candidates, when he went to his present employer, the assistant there left to go to another job the day before he was scheduled to start, and so that makes it very difficult. So anyway, so we'll work something out, no doubt about that.
Okay.
The council meeting, as you mentioned, was about a half hour long. It was a little quicker than I thought. Everything on consent stayed on consent. We did proclaim October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And then the one project, we really only had one discussion project, and that was the Doran project, the village at Arbor Lake.
Right.
This is a project that was tabled previously. The concept plan was to get more information on traffic. And so a traffic study took place. That area has a great deal of traffic now, and traffic movement is critical. And when you start adding, for example, the Dorn project does call for up to 700 apartment units at the north end of the site, and it calls for 2 hotels, 2 restaurants, a drugstore, a bank, possible grocer at the south end of the site, and then also an office building on the south end of the site. And so once you start putting all that into the mix, the impact had to be found as to, you know, how is this going to affect the current traffic as well as future. And so the traffic study was complete. Discussion took place a little quicker than I thought at the council meeting. I expected a very long, drawn-out process. But the discussion really seemed to hang around the 700 units. Is that too much? Who knows? And then also the way to get into the project, get out of the project. The developer at one time was looking for a full movement there, right in, right out, that, you know, left in. That isn't going to happen. The county is not going to allow that, and we certainly won't, because that would have a devastating impact on traffic. So then the developer said, well, what about 3/4? And that would be a right in, right out, and a left out. And that poses also some problems as brought forth in the traffic study. So right now, the council, Monday night, they did approve the concept plan with the understanding that there could be up to 700 units of apartments on the north end of the property, that the buildings would be 4 stories, and right now a right-in off of Hemlock. But once the developer works with all the different businesses that are going to be in that area, it could be, at development stage plan, it could be a right-in and right-out. But that's to be seen, you know, once more work begins on the south part. I think the council was, originally they were concerned about 700 units. Is that too many? Because that area certainly has a lot of high density now.
Right.
These will be units that be somewhat luxury type units, all rental, no condos in there. And then, you know, the concern was the south end and, you know, the type of businesses. I think that when the developer comes back with the development stage plan, that will give us, I think, a solid understanding is, will a right only work, or do we need to go to a right in, right out? I think, you know, the traffic study, I think, made it fairly clear that if needed, you could do a right in, right out, but that certainly remains to be seen. So there's still work to do on that, but the council did approve the concept plan, and so now, you know, it'll be up to the developer to start putting together more pieces of the puzzle. And I don't think we'll see anything submitted to us for a development stage plan for maybe a month. Considering the time of the year, I can't envision anything starting unless they do start to at least break ground, you know, in 2015. But this will be a project that will be a 2015, and I think the developer, as far as the north part of the site, is probably looking at a 3 or 4 or 5 year build out of the apartments. And so it's not something that's going to happen immediately. So.
Right. A couple questions related to the traffic then. If you compare it to the Fountains area, which is just across the street from it, that has the main entrance that comes off of Elm Creek Boulevard. Would that be the same then, main entrance going across?
Going north.
Would be the main spot of where you would get into the new area.
Right. Yep.
But they have a right in, as I recall, only off of Hemlock as well. So would be somewhat that same type of situation of what they'd be looking at.
That's right.
Potentially right out then would be the other option.
That's correct. And then within the development itself, there'll be a roundabout. The way they've kind of designed it, if they do reach agreement with 2 hotels, there's kind of a spine that comes down the property, and there'll be a roundabout at the top part of it, and then a hotel on each side of
Okay.
that spine. And then you'd have a couple of restaurants on the southern portion of that site. And there's the office retail building, which will be more to the east part of the site. So
Okay.
it's right now, it continues to be a work in progress, and you know, we'll see. We may eventually go to a right-in, right-out. If we do that, there will be some other adjustments that will be made.
Sure.
So we'll just have to see how things look once he comes in with the development stage plan.
And then how far north does the property go? Does it go all the way to Weaver Lake Road?
Not quite.
Not quite
No,
to Weaver
no,
Lake Road.
right. It's
Okay.
different. There's another owner that's up there too, and
So there would not be an entrance, a main entrance coming in off of Weaver Lake Road from the north end.
probably not. I
Okay.
mean, there's certainly, depending on easement rights and things like that, maybe there could be something that comes across there. But the other question is the land to the east. That's owned by a different owner.
Right?
And what impact is this development going to have on that?
Certainly.
You need to connect, the transportation system within there with whatever may happen on the land to the east. And right now it's unknown because that's not up for sale and not under any development considerations. And
Okay.
so it's there's a lot of work that needs to be done yet, but they got through the concept plan, and so now the real nitty-gritty stuff starts working. So
Okay, very
So-
good. Well, we will certainly keep you up to date on that large project that looks like it's coming to town.
So it was a short meeting. I was expecting a fairly long one, but I was pleasantly surprised.
You were
Yeah.
okay with that,
I
right?
was fine. I was fine with a half-hour meeting. So yes, so
Very good.
That was it. Everything went very, very well. Yeah.
Okay. Looking ahead then at the next meeting, any items that look like they're on the agenda that people should be aware of here early, either on the council or planning commission?
The planning commission meeting has been canceled.
Okay.
Because of we've got a development called the Siegel Properties, which is up in the northwest part of the city. It's a residential development up there, about 66 units. It's been proposed. Access is from Dayton, and so we need to work with Dayton as far as the fire protection, police protection, things like that. That is not quite ready to come to the planning commission. We then have the Zachary Lane Business Center that I mentioned earlier. There's a couple of things that need to be worked out on that, so that will not come to the next planning commission meeting, but probably a meeting after that.
Okay.
The October 19th meeting should be, I would think, fairly calm because we don't have a planning commission meeting, and so there isn't anything that's going to be carried forward. So, and I can't imagine that Mr. Dorn will come in with a development stage plan this quickly.
Right.
So
Okay.
it should be a fairly mild meeting.
So the highlight might be a little city administrator talk. And, and speaking of
Yes.
that, while we have a few minutes here, so on the last program we talked a little bit about Al's early days in the city of Maple Grove. Let's kind of jump into the middle section here now. And I wanted to ask a little bit about the city as far as the staff and the services provided by the city and the growth that took. I think people are well aware of what happened development-wise in the city. We talked a little bit about that. But how about from a city staff standpoint? What was that like for you to have to work with and kind of oversee a city that had this much service to now requiring this much service? And obviously you had a new space that came along. Tell us a
yes.
little bit about the city inside end of it, of making that move to a larger city.
Well, there were some challenges, no doubt about that, because we were continuing to grow rapidly. Our city council and even myself, we're not one that adds staff just because we want to add some staff.
Right.
And so all that's thought out very, very carefully. We're very fortunate that we had employees that stepped to the plate and were able to take on extra duties. Now, over time, yes, we had to add to staff, but police is certainly one of the big areas, and public works, because as the city grows, I mean, we're still 36 square miles in size, but as the development happens and the number of roads increase, then public works activity increases. And so between public works and police probably are the two departments that had the most increase in staff. Other departments have been, maybe one or two here and there. Our assessing department, again, as as our population grows, the assessing department has a greater demand on them, and so I think that I still feel today that we have a lean, mean machine. We have roughly 255 employees, and we're 36 square miles in size. We're almost 68,000 people. I think that any new employees probably will be some fill-in. We'll have people that will be retiring, and so we'll certainly, fill those positions. I don't see this city going gangbusters and hiring a lot of people because everything right now seems to be working fine. But again, Public Works and Police are the two departments that really can be the most demanding. So.
Sure. So along with the people end of it, obviously there were space needs then for all of these people working at the city and all of the facilities. So let's talk a little bit about the City Hall first of all. And I don't know how many people know where it used to be on Fernbrook. There was the spot for many, many years. Tell us about that space and kind of the realization that finally this just isn't big enough.
Well, we always joke that when we were in the old space up by Fernwood, that if one person got a cold, everybody got a cold because we were in such a small, compacted space. One of the nice things was, though, we were more like a family. But nevertheless, and so the need for a new government center certainly was critical. That was a fun project to work on. I worked with the landowner to acquire the land where the government center now sits in the later 90s. But we started, probably in the early 90s, we started to kick around, looking at ideas for a new government center. And then we also knew that at some point in time we wanted to figure out what does Maple Grove want to be when it grows up in that area. And so one thing led to another, and we worked with Opus and right on down the line, excuse me. And then in 1998 we got real serious about the government center.
Right. And
in 1999 we started construction. We opened that in the year of Y2K. Everybody
that was good timing.
Everybody was panicky, but it was a fun project to work on. It was a big project because we built that to grow into, not to grow out of. And we designed it so that even though the police, the public safety is attached to the government center, it's its own separate operation.
Right.
And we also designed it so that all the city vehicles could park underground, which gives you more lifespan of your vehicles. I remember we moved in October of 2000, and myself and I think Mike Eberly, Ed O'Donnell, there was probably one or two others that we spent the entire weekend there. Didn't even go home. So we bunked out there.
That sounds like a fun weekend.
And surprisingly it was. We wanted to make sure that everything went well. The Friday before the Monday we would open, we moved everything out of the Fernwood place.
Right.
And that was all shipped over, and Monday morning at 8 o'clock we were up and running. And so the move went very, very well. And I got to give credit to my IS department guys because you're moving computers and printers, and I mean just a massive technology. And they did a yeoman's job. And so it was fun. It was a little nerve-wracking because we knew we wanted to open, that particular Monday at 8 in the morning. Friday in the afternoon, we're scrambling to get everything put together. We're there Saturday, we're there Sunday. And there was this fear of Y2K. Is something going to happen?
Sure.
Is it not going to happen?
Yeah.
Thankfully, it did not happen.
Nothing happened.
So it was a fun project, but it was somewhat of a stress project as well. So.
And then really on both sides of that, there were some other big projects. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to talk a lot about them, but the community center obviously came on before, and the new public works facility came on after that. So again, just trying to keep up with what's happening in Maple Grove.
Right.
Al, thanks again for your time. We'll talk to you again soon after the next meeting. Here's that next meeting date if you are interested. It is coming up on October 19th at the Government Center. Website on the top of the screen, lots of information about the city. And via response line 533-1710. Questions or comments, certainly give us a call and we'll try to answer them on the program. For Al Madsen, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us.